Hi, let me introduce you to Dotty, our lovely 1973 Dodge B200 van. It's a real beauty, and I'm sure you'll agree after seeing all the neat features it's got inside. From the outside, it's got pretty classic looks, nothing too special about it. You can see from here a hint at the chimney that runs off the wood stove, and then the solar panels. There's two 96-watt panels, so 190, 200 watts of solar altogether. Yeah, and then a really neat feature right off the bat is this awning that covers the door. We spent a winter, last winter, in Tofino, and as you may know, in Tofino it rains a lot. So this way you can have the door kind of cracked if it's really warm, or you can open it up all the way without worrying about any water running down these seams, because it all comes down the side. So it's totally West Coast, wet coast ready. Yeah, I'll come on to the back. In the back we got this neat storage container up here. Would be a great spot perhaps for a spare tire. We don't use it for all that much, except as a kind of a shelter for this gloomy rain. If you're entering in the back here, you'll see there's the bed, and then actually a ton of storage. So there's two whole milk crates on my right there, and then on the left, it's empty right now, but that huge thing is open. This is a fresh air intake to get a little airflow back here to stop the mildew. And the underside is all painted with mold resistant paint. So it's actually done really well even in our super wet climate here. Close that up, close this guy, and then move on. This side of the van here is where the real magic is at. Again, there's an awning over this window, and that means that you can actually have this window totally open for ventilation in the rain without worrying about anything getting inside, which has been awesome on the West Coast when it's sort of humid but not that cold. And then here, the pièce de résistance, I added this myself. We have a surf rack on the side. This can hold two surfboards easily. One surfboard is what it's made for, but we've had two, no problem. And then above, this upper rack holds my 18-foot sea kayak, but it could easily hold a smaller kayak or even a canoe. It's really awesome. And the whole thing has had no problem going up and down highway speeds with boats and surfboards on it. It's a real workhorse. These are the vents for the kitchen. Our 20-pound propane tank, which as you can see, I haven't turned on since the last time I took the ferry. That's the warning. And then water in for the freshwater tank, and this guy here is water out. Needs a bit of a clean. Around front, you can see the really nice grill, the sort of wishbone grill. Pretty classic. I've had a lot of people stop me and ask about it. I don't know very much about it personally, but apparently it's cool. One really neat feature about this van is that it was once sort of a work van, and so it's got these super reinforced steel bumpers both front and back that are totally capable of carrying weight, so it's really easy to get up top if you need to deal with something. Welcome inside. It's nice and cozy in here. It's like a little cabin. Alright, so the first thing you'll notice as you come into the van is the really cute cubic mini wood stove. It actually pumps out a lot of heat, and this fan does a great job of distributing it around the van. Underneath the wood stove here is our electrical systems. It's a bit of a jumble of wires at the moment, but essentially the 200 watts of solar come down from the roof in behind and feed into that battery in the bottom, which then distributes to all the systems inside. So these lights and the LED strip, that's all run directly off the battery. There's also an inverter here that flicks on and off, and that runs 120 volt power to a couple of extension points around the van. And that's it. It's disconnected from shore power, this whole system. It's also disconnected from the alternator, so it's its own separate little bubble back here. We do have shore power as well that can power these 120 volt lights, and a separate outlet found around here if we were connected, but often we're not connected, and so we stay pretty off grid. Yeah. Moving on to the kitchen here. This is pretty sweet because in this van we have a 3-burner propane stove. That little rag just keeps it from rattling while we're driving. And then underneath is a propane fridge with a little freezer. And it actually does a remarkably good job of keeping things cool. Over the summer when we lived in here, we would be able to go approximately a month using the stove and keeping the fridge on pretty much all day without running out of propane on just a little 20-pound tank. So it's pretty efficient. Next to it here, obviously, we've got some storage for our various kitchen items. Cutlery, spices, plates, the whole works. Yeah, just the way it goes. And then there's a little pantry space in the bottom. I built these little oak locks to keep the drawers from opening. And they do a pretty good job because it's very scary when a drawer opens while you're turning. So it's important to keep that done. We also have a sink here, which is run off of the freshwater tank underneath. And it has a little pump that is activated by this switch up here. So if you were to turn it on, flick the switch, get a bit of water coming out. Oops. Then you open the drain and it leaves. There is no gray water tank in the van, so it all just kind of dumps out the side, and there's a hose in here that we can use to extend that. But often, because we're not really doing dishes in here, we're just using the water for cooking. It hasn't been a problem, hasn't been an issue. Couple of extra fun bits in the kitchen. There's a shelf up here that has a non-stick pad, and so we've been keeping things up there. This shelf, really aesthetically pleasing spot for spices. Turns out not very good for the spices themselves, but a lot of neat storage there. And then the pièce de résistance on this end, the Chemex. I hand built this neat little device that holds our glass coffee maker safe while we're driving. Of course, this is a part of the van now, so they're never being separated. On this end back here is the bedroom. A nice bed. It's meant for someone a bit shorter than I, which is one of the issues with this van for me personally. However, I can fit nice and diagonal, and I am 6 feet, 6'1" with these shoes on, and I can lie comfortably across. We took all the pillows off just because we haven't been in here much lately, but it was a really nice comfy setup. Next to the bed, little bedside table made out of a reclaimed piece of live edge cedar. And underneath, just a drawer of knickknacks. And then below that is where we've kept our garbage and recycling. That's done pretty well. Below the bed here are 2 enormous bins that slide out for clothing storage. And then this one currently is sort of knick-knack storage, shoes and whatnot, but there you are. Big bins. And they too will lock up with this little piece here so that they don't open up on you while you're driving down the road. Couple of extra cool bedroom items. We've got our articulating movie screen. You can put a phone in there or a little iPad and then watch video from in bed. It's pretty sick, to be honest. And then behind we've got these little hanging bags to keep, underwear, socks, whatever. And then there's hooks all over the place because as we learned living in here, it's really nice to be able to keep your coats and stuff out of the way. So there's hooks on this side, hooks all over this side, leftover masks. This hook I put up for my backpack so it hangs nicely against the wall here. The next thing here is this multi-purpose piece of furniture. On one end here we've got our drying rack if we were to dry some clothing. And then if you pop out this pin, it actually slides open and becomes our dining room table workspace with some storage on the side. So currently we've got our library here, random odds and ends, binoculars, paperwork, you know the deal, how things go. And yeah, a really nice work surface that you can sit on this side, and then someone else can be on the other side, either on the bench by the door, or we have a little fold-out stool that goes there. Sarah and I lived together here for 2 months while doing schoolwork, and so we were able to do schoolwork and live in this little space. And that goes away. Above here, this is our kind of medicine cabinet toiletry zone. It's again a bit of a mess because we haven't been living here. And we got a nice mirror that I personally made on the outside for looking at your beautiful face. Below here, if you were to open this little clip, and then you have to kind of open the drying rack. This is our bigger pantry. Lots of just staples and things. It's a huge drawer. It's like 15 by 18 by 20 or something. It's big. And then we lock that out. And then if we go all the way down to the bottom, no space is wasted. You can open up the clip on this side. And this is where we've been keeping all of our vehicle maintenance stuff. So it's out of the way, but it's stored really nicely. Back to this bench in the front here. It sort of covers up the opening to one of the doors, which hasn't really been an issue for us because we never need to get in by both, but it allows us to have tool storage, a torch to start the fireplace, and this is where we kept all of our chopped firewood over the winter. So it's a nice big storage bin and a pretty comfy bench. Above the cab, there's these sliding doors that I built with a ton of storage back here. All sorts of knickknacks, doodads. The other side opens as well. Yeah, really, really great. And then we have these curtains that are light, like blackout curtains, and they will slide all the way to the middle here. And then they actually magnetize together. And so you can really do a good job of sealing yourself off from the outside world. There's also blackout panels for all the windows in the van, with a bit of thermal insulation in there, so they can do a good job of insulating the inside as well. All right, up in the cab here, we've got driver's seat, passenger seat, which has some knickknacks on it at the moment. Everything in the cab actually works remarkably well given the age of the van. It's 49 years old. We got windshield wipers that work, lights work, high beams work. The e-brake is actually exceptionally strong. Regular brakes work great. Fan works, defrost works. It does only blow hot air, so you gotta open the windows in the summer. But otherwise, all working. The cigarette lighter does do well for charging. I've got the actual cigarette lighter part too, but we don't use that too much. Doesn't have a radio, but I built this shelf on which we put a Bluetooth speaker, and so that works great for us. And then there's some lights that I've installed in here because there was no original cabin lighting. And this is run off solar, so you could run this for like hours and you'd be all right. Engine obviously is down here below the doghouse, and this still comes off really easily for repairs and whatever it is that you need in there. As I was putting this video together, realized I never filmed an ending, so here goes. If you're watching this and it's the fall-winter of 2022-2023, then Dotty is for sale. So check out the Facebook Marketplace listing or Craigslist listing. If it's later than that, sorry, you might be out of luck. And otherwise, I really hope that you enjoyed our little van. It's been a sweet place to live, and I hope you feel inspired to make your own, because it's quite a journey.